Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. I will ride with this group. Seriously, man. Please. And away we go.
Yes, it's a Hottest Takes Monday live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. And if Judd can lift his arms over his shoulders after yesterday.
I'm very, very sore.
If you got just one more pitch in you.
Hold on. There it is. There it is out of the bullpen. Aroldis Chapman, 2016 Cubs.
More.
Is that Chet Steadman?
Yeah.
From the Bionic Arm Kid movie? Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year with the Cubs one where Rodengarner, right?
Yeah, Henry Rodengarner. But then Chet Steadman was the pitcher, right? He was the Gary Busey.
Gary Busey with the teeth.
One more.
Wow.
Let's go one more trip to Quick Trip before we get settled in with our hottest Vikings.
One more. How about several more? Because Quick Trip
Another more.
Yes, it's Monday morning, and right now you're like, oh, it's Monday. I need something. I need a cup of coffee, or I need to get a snack, or heck, I need lunch. Well, guess what? Quick Trip has all of those things. And if the gas tank is near E, you can also fill the car up there. Heck, if you got the Quick Trip app on your phone, you could actually order what you want from inside the store while filling up, and they'll bring it out to you. They'll deliver it to you. What more could you possibly want? A grocery store? No. It's like a grocery store, but it's better because it's all about your convenience. It's all about Quick Trip. When you make a stop at Quick Trip, they're going to live up to that promise that it's going to be quick, efficient, and easy because they are professional and courteous and absolutely outstanding. That is why they are one of the prime sponsors of this show, because we know greatness when we see it, and that is Quick Trip.
I will say sometimes I'll do this, okay? Had the Vikings winning that game, but I went on Prize Picks and had a feeling about Caleb Williams, had a feeling about them more on the passing yards, and you know, it's nice when you go on Prize Picks and you like hedge a little bit, but then the Vikings still wind up winning. Been a nice little couple weeks here for old Macadac on Prize Picks, which you can download and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You select between 2 and 6 players, and you pick more or less on their projected statistics, and then you place your entry. So like tonight, we got another football game. Derrick Henry. Well, actually, so Lamar Jackson, 238.5 for passing yards, and then Justin Herbert, 260.5. Derrick Henry, 86.5 for rushing yards. That's the interface. So check it out. Prize Picks and prizepicks.com. Enter the code PURPLEDAILY to get $50 instantly when you play just $5. All right, boys, how are we feeling? I feel like people were mad at the end of the game. How could you be in overtime against this team? But now that perspective has maybe taken over, they're 9-2. They have the 5th best point differential in the NFL. So how are we feeling going into our hottest takes today? Anyone get a rage?
No, I'm not. But when you give up 11 or 10 points in 22 seconds or so, I totally got that rage. Where I felt it became odd was it like spilled over into things that weren't off.
Yeah.
Like the offensive performance, go and look at the stats. Go and look at the rushing attempts. Go and look at Aaron Jones had 100 plus yards. Addison had a phenomenal career day. So like I was all fine with raging on the meltdown and the special teams, but then we're like, well, the play calling sucked too. It's like, what does that have to do with the special teams absolutely whatting itself? So
yeah. Well, who wants the first? I mean, I'm happy to lead off. I have a warm fuzzy one.
And I'll go second because I've got the pie chart. So
okay. So here's my hottest Vikings take after sleeping on this, because I don't know, like that game ended and I wasn't really angry. Yeah, it was annoying. They had a 99.9% chance to win with like a minute 50, and then they just absolutely pissed the game away. But then they come back, get a big sack in overtime. They don't really back down. You know, they keep grinding and pushing forward. KOC with another classic locker room speech. And it just kind of hit me this morning. Waking up, the crisp air, stick my head outside, that this is the 3rd most fun I've ever had watching a Vikings team in my life. That's my hottest Vikings take today. My first conscious Vikings memory was 1991 which I think was the last Jerry Burns season.
Yeah.
And like Anthony Carter was their number one receiver, and like Wade Wilson. And so since 1991, this is the third most fun I've had watching Vikings football. 1998, of course, until the end, like 1998, easily. Right. 2009 with Brett Favre, and holy cow. And then this season, and all due respect to the 2017 team that won 13 games, the whole season, you kind of knew in the back of your mind that Case Keenum is like, he was a 7th-round pick. He's a backup. He wasn't like a high-end top 3 pick like Sam Darnold is coming into his own for the first time. He had kind of a noodle arm, and you knew that it was kind of shocking that he didn't turn into a pumpkin until the Philadelphia game. So in the back of your head, you kind of knew that 2017 team was probably just not good enough at quarterback. And then all due respect to the 2022 Vikings, KOC's first year, that was a bottom 5 defense. And all year long, you're watching this team with Ed Donatel just leak points and leads and unable to make a stop. And then Kirk Cousins and company have to save it with a game-winning drive. So 2022, that team was a minus 3 point differential, 15th in the NFL. This team, legitimate, top 5 point differential, top 5 offense or top 5 defense, formidable offense. So the fact that we have this unexpected success, a team that was supposed to win 6.5-ish games according to the sports books. So we get unexpected success. We get a really fun, aggressive top 5 defense. We get a former top 3 overall pick, career resurrected in front of us, just chunking the ball down the field. And then the KOC leadership and locker room speeches, and it's just really fun. This is the third most fun I've ever had watching a Vikings team in my life.
So 2022, I'm totally with you on. This has not yet surpassed 17, just because that was like when, the thing about that is when Bradford got hurt, I was like, they're screwed. And then they went to Pittsburgh and lost. I'm like, they're really screwed. Now I've seen it for myself. So I actually thought, now this story could end differently and it could exceed that. I'm not willing to put it above that yet. But yeah, compared to 22, like 22 was a lot of smoke and mirrors. And the comebacks by Kirk were fantastic, but they were also part and parcel of this isn't sustainable. And then you got to the last Giants game, and sure enough, it wasn't sustainable because, to your point, your defense stunk. But yeah. I mean, this is definitely a fun team. And the one thing I like about this team too is, and the 17 team had this as well, I like how there doesn't seem to be a lot of BS. Like there's not a lot of high maintenance. There's not, to his credit, I think the only reporter that talked to Jefferson post-game was our old friend Andrew Kramer of the Star Tribune now. And Jefferson was, according to Kramer, somewhat annoyed, like in, I didn't do much. But then he was like, hey, the win is what's important here, and I get it. There just seems to be a level of professional here that the 17 team had, but a lot of teams haven't necessarily had in Vikings lore. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely been fun.
Yeah, I would say 09 was a blast. Like, I didn't really remember too much of 98. I was like 6. So 2000 was the first one that I really remember of a Vikings season. But yeah, this has been, I think there are a little bit of similar parallels. I think some people kind of do know that the Sam Darnold pumpkin experience might get a little ugly like Case Keenum did. But they're two different style of pumpkins. Like Keenum had the noodle arm, I think, as Phil said, which is hilarious. But Sam Darnold has never experienced like this type of success, but he was a coveted first-round pick, 3rd overall, that just needed the right infrastructure. And it's kind of like, oh, maybe this is the new type of Sam Darnold that we can expect going forward. So there's similarities there between 17, but this has been a super fun house money season.
Question for you, because I was in Green Bay in 2004. Where did that team rank? Because
2004 Vikings?
Yeah, because they beat the Packers in the first round, and that was the Culpepper MVP-like year. I'm just curious because I didn't see that entire year play out.
It was fine. You knew that defense was so bad, though. That defense was, it was like 27, 30 points. And so Dante was fun to watch, and Moss. I mean, the Moss era and the Dante era most years were fun to watch. But you always had this. Those teams had high expectations coming off. They were kind of drafting off the 1998 and 2000 trips to the NFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. Even when they fired Denny, it's like, okay, but this is still Randy Moss and high-octane offense, and it was still that era. And the feeling for me in 03, 04, and then the demise of the Mike Tice era 05 was just never living up to the bar that was set in 1998 and then 2000.
Yeah, that was going to be hard to do too. You're
right. Yeah, this is far enough removed from a couple different eras where you've got Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi coming in and just wiping the slate clean, and the expectations were so much lower now than maybe in the early 2000s, and they're clearing those expectations by leaps and bounds. And, we talk about it all the time on our old radio show, too, that the two most fun types of fan experiences are championship success, which we never have, where you're a Patriots fan and you're just winning titles and it's, yes, or unexpected success, where you've got kind of a low bar and the team is just clearing it, and here they are, they're 9-2. So, yeah, again, no disrespect. There's a bunch of other fun seasons, too. But this has been awesome.
Which leads into my statement, and that is this. After giving this great thought, after pouring through the candidates, my hottest take is based really on what he's done with Darnold alone, but he's done so much more. Kevin O'Connell is the coach of the year in this league. He fits the description perfectly. So you're saying, but Dan Campbell. Okay, unfortunately, coaches with really good teams rarely, if ever, win this award. It's always teams that are thought to not be great. The Vikings are going to win 6.5 games. Oh my God, they just won 12 or 13 games. Kevin O'Connell should be coach of the year. Kevin O'Connell got screwed in 22 a little bit because Brian Daboll won it. And remember, they don't vote on playoffs. The voting's done before the playoffs start. So, and he O'Connell barely got a sniff. But if you look at what he has done, including the now, which is great, the now streamed after the fact, of course, because the F-bombs are plentiful, or at least they were on Sunday. His post-game speeches to his players, where he basically said he's got such a great way. He said yesterday, you guys weren't that good. We got a lot to do here, but he said it in a super positive way of we got to grind this thing out. He's telling them this is going to get tougher. And if you just look at the body of work of what this guy has done and taken a quarterback who was really thought to be done. San Francisco employed him as a backup. And I think a lot of people thought, okay, he's going to stick around. He's going to have the Blaine Gabbert experience, right? He's going to just bounce from team to team and like Carson Wentz now. And instead, he's no, this dude can start. And when you look at what this team has done entirely, and when you look at O'Connell also bringing in or helping to bring in Brian Flores to correct the Donatell mistake. And then Brian Flores is basically, as far as I know, given autonomy of the defense, which takes a really secure head coach because that can be seen as a threat. Kevin O'Connell, with what was expected, is a perfect definition of what should be the 2024 NFL Coach of the Year.
Yeah, his work with Sam Darnold alone, even if you took away, let's say they were 7-4 instead of 9-2, if you just said, hey, the main thing on his Coach of the Year resume is Sam Darnold, that would get him consideration. And then you add the 9-2 overall record on top. But yeah, yesterday, Sam Darnold set a career high. This is year 7 for him in the NFL. Team number 4. And he set a career high in touchdown passes before December. We still have, 6 games left or whatever. He has by far the highest passer rating he's ever. His career passer rating is 20 points lower and was 25 points lower if you take away this season than his 2024 passer rating. I mean, KOC has literally taken a punchline name in the NFL and turned him into one of the 10 to 12 top performing quarterbacks in the league this year. It's incredible work. And he's also now 12-8 in games quarterbacked by Darnold, Josh Dobbs, Jaron Hall, Nick Mullins.
Yep.
And the fact that this is a small thing, but the fact that Nick Mullins within this structure and preparation can just kind of come in a couple of times and being hey dude, it's 3rd and 13, we got to call a pass play here, and he's just ready. And that's a testament to Nick Mullins for just always stay ready.
Right.
He doesn't sleep, he waits for that one play every 2 months, but yeah, it's incredible work what KOC is doing with Sam Darnold.
Because I would say, given how the award works, the candidates are Mike Tomlin, because I think Campbell has almost zero chance because they just never give it to that guy. Tomlin for sure. I think Dan Quinn was, but
not anymore.
Not
No.
anymore. Yeah, you can't have a onside kick return for a touchdown, and that's a bad loss. I mean, that's an awful Dallas team. That's the definition of a team that you need to beat. I mean, the Chiefs-Panthers game was close, but the Chiefs still won that game.
Yeah.
So I think if you look at the candidates that ordinarily would be considered, Tomlin, Jim Harbaugh for sure. But Jim Harbaugh also stepped into a situation with Justin Herbert as his quarterback.
Yeah.
And Tomlin's team has done great jobs with Russell Wilson and before that Fields. But I would argue that, Russell Wilson looked cooked. Sam Darnold was never going to get the chance. So everything about the Darnold thing to me is more impressive.
I think it's Tomlin and KOC. I think that's the short list right now. I think you nailed it. You could, and I agree on Dan Campbell. I mean, Andy Reid, I think, has one AP Coach of the Year award in his entire 25-year coaching career. Andy Reid's one of the 5 best head coaches in the history of the NFL, and he was only. And how many times did Belichick win it? Never.
I don't know if he won it. Yeah.
It's like Greg Popovich in the NBA.
Correct.
Never. Phil Jackson never. Because if it's all about perception of expectation versus how widely you cleared the bar. Mm-hmm. And Tomlin. But then again, with Tomlin, he has set a bar over the course of 17 years or however long it's been now that they never finished below 500. So I would almost argue that the KOC is clearing the expectations bar even more than Mike Tomlin is.
And what was Pittsburgh's projected win total too?
I think it was like 7.5 maybe.
Okay. So
it was kind of bordering on 8, somewhere in there. So, all right, Dex, your hottest Vikings take.
All right, so this hottest take is directed at opposing teams when you go up against the Vikings. So here's my hottest take. The dumbest thing you can do to stop the Minnesota Vikings offense is to focus on taking away Justin Jefferson. So let me read you some of the stats that the Vikings offense did yesterday. Here's what they accomplished. 452 yards, 22 first downs, 4.6 yards per rush, 8.6 yards per pass, 7 yards per play, all with star wide receiver Justin Jefferson having 2 grabs for 27 yards. Meanwhile, Jordan Addison, 8 grabs, 162 career day. TJ Hockenson, 7 grabs, 114 yards. Aaron Jones, 25 touches, I'll even include his receptions, 129 total yards. Also against the Bears defense that isn't a sieve. The Bears defense is pretty damn good. They entered play yesterday 7th in points. They allowed the fewest touchdown passes in the NFL. Teams were averaging just 5.4 yards 5.4 plays per drive against the Bears defense going into yesterday. Plus a third down defense that's number 4, a red zone defense that's number 1. And all those gaudy success rate numbers for the Vikings yesterday happened with Justin Jefferson getting all the attention and then Addison, Hockenson, and Aaron Jones all feasting on the opportunity. So even Jefferson's presence, even though he's not contributing individually to the box score statistics, ends up still working out for the Vikings. This is not to say the Vikings can be successful without Justin Jefferson. This is to say when Jefferson is on the field, it creates so much more problems for defenses that other players in the Vikings offense can feast. So go ahead, other teams. Take away Justin Jefferson because the rest of the playmakers are still going to show up.
I love that take. And I love that take.
So in Justin's weekly press conference last Thursday, he was asked that. He was asked that very question. What do? Do you take away yourself, or do you basically say, okay, screw it, we're going to make sure that the others don't eat as well, and we're going to single Justin Jefferson and not pay special attention? And Justin said, well, I'm always going to take away myself. And that's what the Bears did. And we've seen this now 2 or 3 times this season alone, where if the Vikings do this right, you literally pick your poison. And that doesn't mean you can't win, but it does mean that Justin Jefferson in regulation of that game on Sunday had 1 catch for 7 yards. 1 catch for 7 yards.
Worst game of his career.
And yet anyone who watched it, because I think the previous worst game of his career might have been a Zimmer late season game in Green Bay. It's the one where they all wore the wrong cleats And Jair Alexander had a lot of success against Justin that day, and the Vikings played terribly. But anyone who watched this game knew that Justin Jefferson had the worst game of his career while basically having one of the most influential games of his entire career.
A few people pointing out correctly, Declan knew his take was fire. The Muddy Acres Homestead says, I like how Declan had the victory sip out of his mug after that mic
What's
drop
in the
hot
mug?
take.
That's the question. What's in the mug?
Coffee. No,
Bear's blood.
Yeah, bear.
It's Thanksgiving week. If you said a little Kahlua, I mean, no one's gonna look sideways at you.
No, I'm gonna just withhold all Thanksgiving food takes until for the rest of the week.
Did the coleslaw thing kind of jar you? That was my ahi tuna moment. Is your coleslaw moment?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I now can understand what Phil was going through because I was
mad,
destroyed, and not even like criticized, because I think criticizing is fine, or like, hey, that's interesting. And there were a few like, oh no, we do coleslaw at our Thanksgiving. Like that one's totally normal. But no, that was not the norm. That was not the that did not represent other people's.
You were Sam Darnold last week. You now know how Sam felt being on the back page of the Post day after day while with the Jets.
I had to hold a press conference. My publicist, my wife, asked me some great questions. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing.
No, I mean, you owned it. I will say, when you made that draft pick, I love coleslaw, and if there was coleslaw at a Thanksgiving gathering, it would be on my plate.
Yeah,
but I think it's funny, like you grow up with certain traditions and stuff, and you just assume that like, oh, everyone must have coleslaw on their Thanksgiving plate. A lot of people overly judgy, by the way. Okay, like eat whatever you want on Thanksgiving first and foremost.
I agree.
Oh, no, I think their point was, how could that be in your top three? Like, because like you can eat whatever you want, like that. Yeah, no, I think that they hated Dex's, and they didn't like my top three list. Like, there's a lot of cranberry hate, which really surprised me a little bit because I thought it was popular, but who knows?
It's more polarizing than you would think.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think it is tracking to be, though, the largest gap win. Macadac is running away with that. I think it's going to be.
I want to recount.
We should have we should math out the point differential, the all-time point differential.
Sure, AJ will.
AJ could. I think
got all the metrics, dude.
Sorry, AJ. Just threw that on
unbelievable.
Your plate there. Just threw that on AJ's plate next to the coleslaw. So, okay, Judd, you got the pie chart today, don't you?
I do indeed, and it's all set to go. It's in the oven.
Chef Judd is rocking and rolling. Saw a couple compliments on that hat you're rocking right there, too. Tell the audience about your stoked hat.
This one right here, exactly right. You know what? I am stoked, and I'm not just stoked because life is good and the Vikings have won 9 games. I'm stoked because this is also a great barbecue pellet company that is based right here in our fine state. Stoked is the premium pellet that cooks anything you throw on the grill or smoker to delicious perfection. You can find Stoked products at all 22 Fratelloni's hardware and garden stores. Perfect for pellet grills, smokers, and ideal for all kinds of grills. Absolutely great. And I know that just because it's getting cold outside, a lot of people don't stop grilling now, so it's a perfect time. Find Stoked barbecue pellets, 50-count fire starter buckets, 4-count fire starter bags, along with a perfect holiday gift. That is the Stoked barbecue caddy, which is absolutely perfect for the grill master in your life. Again, available at all 22 Fratelloni's hardware and garden stores. Don't go with the big guys. Go with our friends at Stoked.
Dex, did you fade Justin Jefferson on underdog this weekend? Did you have the guts?
I did not. I didn't have the guts. I was really hoping that Caleb Williams would throw in interceptions. I probably should have taken sacks. You know, that's another sneaky one you can grab an underdog with quarterbacks is sacks taken. Very good one to take at underdog. Plenty of great different options. Promo code SCORE, so it gets you a 50% deposit match. There's NBA, there's NHL, there's tokens that will randomly pop up. There's been profit bonus tokens of 50% that will pop in randomly. So when you do get those picks in, make sure you have the notifications turned on. Plus, they even give you up-to-date news on the NFL. If in case you didn't have Twitter open and there's a Schefter bomb, underdog's on it. Promo code SCORE for a 50% deposit match.
I love that feature.
Also, a shout out to the exclusive personal injury law firm of Purple Daily, Nicolay Law. Russell Nicolay and his team, very locally rooted here in the Twin Cities communities that we live in. They're just your normal everyday folks that happen to have law degrees and the brain power to get you the compensation you deserve after an accident might rock things a little bit for either you or a family member. So if you've been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers, NicoletLaw.com or give them a call at 1-855-NICOLET. All right.
The Rock knows
You ready?
how you feel about pie.
This is a bit the pie chart during the week of Thanksgiving. It feels like a featured pie chart here.
It's big. It's big. And if I goofed this up one bit, math off, someone forgotten, the coleslaw take will be replaced by the criticism that comes down on Sports Dad, okay? So like if I actually did the math no fewer than 5 times last night.
Okay. How many slices are we talking here?
We're talking about let's see here. We got a lot of slices, of course, because it's a very Zolgadian pie chart.
Hold on, Dex. If I set the over under at 6.5.
Over. Easy. That's minus money line.
He's still counting. Yeah. It's got to be over 6.5.
It's 7.
7. Okay.
7. Yep.
There we go.
7 slices of pie.
And then can I also say you have at least 2 pieces of pie with percentages that don't end in 0 or 5?
I don't think so.
No? I feel like you always throw like a
There's
2.
not a 12?
Or like
a
4.
No. I got 2. I'm going to start with 2 5%, but no, there's a 5, a 10, a 15, a 20, and a 25.
Okay.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I didn't get too cute, and I still did the math 5 times. That's how little
important.
I trust myself on math.
Yep, you're okay there, Judge.
'Cause I've been wrong before.
Yep.
There's a Packer fan trolling in the comments right now too, by the way. This
is there?
It's
I love
keep
the
on
comments.
losing.
I love the comments.
Skull acronym there. Lions are going to be a minus 7.5 against the sad Vikings. That's how sad you guys are. You know what's sad? Having 30 years of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers in their peak powers and only winning 2 Super Bowls. That's really sad.
Can I give a shout out though to taking Skull and coming up with that line for Skull?
Still keep on losing.
Yeah. Okay. That's kudos, my friend.
We should come up with one for Packers or cheese. We'll work on that. We'll workshop that.
I'll stop. All right. Let's go to the
Please.
pie chart of praise. Thankfully, it's a pie chart of praise because it would have been an ugly pie chart of blame if the Vikings had urinated this game away. All right. 5%. 5% goes to Kevin O'Connell. Very specific reason why, though, okay? Very specific reason why, and it's why I'm very confused by those. Now there was, in 22, there were some issues with timeouts, or I'm sorry, in 23, actually. But I'm very confused by, like, this overall narrative that his management of the game is poor. Let me give you a perfect example of brilliant, and I sound like such a stan, but brilliant O'Connell game management. I take you to late in the first quarter. The ball is at the Vikings 48. On the TV, they point out Vikings might not run another play. They might not run another play. Just let the quarter run out and we'll go to break. And when we come back, it's the second quarter. Well, no. They ran a play, or did they? They threatened to run a play.
Yeah.
They did the Aaron Rodgers, hey, let's go up to the line of scrimmage. By the way, not in their own stadium, but on the road, and said, let's see if the Bears screw up. Bears going to bear, and the Bears bared.
They're poorly coached. They have a lot of like pre-snap stuff.
Exactly right. So the Bears jump offside. Okay, now there's still a play left to run. Well, they got to run this play because the clock stops. So you got to get that clock going, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you going to do? So at that point in time, Sam Darnold throws a 45-yard completion on a play in which Jordan Addison, number one, was definitely interfered with. But second of all, that Jordan caught at the 2-yard line. It was a great catch. And that set up a 2-yard touchdown pass to Addison then to open the second quarter and tie the score at 7. That is really impressive.
There's some nuanced stuff there, and I feel like he did burn one timeout on like before a 4th down play because I think it was the one where they came out and then they threw the ball, and that was kind of a cluster bleep sequence. But
he did.
Generally, it feels like he's been better at preserving timeouts and kind of understanding that game. Are you doing anything on the refs here during your pie chart? Because you brought up, I have a side street.
Oh no, I'm not. So
I had 3 in the first quarter. I had 3 egregious missed calls.
Yeah.
The Jordan Addison, I mean, he caught the pass. So I don't know if you saw when they showed the replay.
draped all
He
over him.
he got absolutely dragged down. It should have been pass interference. He caught the ball anyway, so it doesn't matter. But the referee saw it happen, put his hand on his flag, but then saw that it was a catch and then decided to not throw the flag. So that was interesting. The refs also missed a hold in the end zone. Harrison Phillips was about to get close to Caleb Williams when the Bears were backed up. And there was a Bears offensive lineman just absolutely tugging at the jersey of Harrison Phillips.
Yep.
That should have been a safety, because if you get called for a hold in the end zone, the refs are a little more lenient because they don't want to just be handing out safeties, but that should have been a safety. And then the vicious late hit out of bounds on the Brandon Powell punt return, where it was kind of a drive-by grazing, but it was several yards out of bounds.
Oh, it was
full
worse than
speed targeting. It hit his helmet.
it was worse than the 2 flags that were thrown for the same thing in Tennessee a week earlier.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that was all in the first quarter. The Vikings had to overcome something.
And the refs were questionable across the board. I thought Bynum got a break on a potential PI on a Bears deep shot as well. But, I am shocked that Clay Martin and his crew are the latest one to not be great.
Yeah.
So O'Connell gets 5%.
The Rock knows how you feel.
This
about
might be a
pie.
first, because I'm going to give a 5% slice to an unnamed. I don't know who it is. I just know that they did their job, and you might have
Coleslaw.
saved the day. It's not coleslaw. It's the Vikings challenge person. Challenge. So let's take you back to Keenan Allen makes a really nice catch on a Caleb throw at the sideline. It's a 24-yard completion on a 3rd and 4 and puts the ball at the Vikings 6-yard line. Okay? So we got trouble here. And then on second look, we see, oh man, Keenan Allen's toe might have actually hit the white of the sideline, but did it? Bears tried to, of course, hurry up and expedite. And O'Connell, clearly being told, challenge this, gets the flag thrown. It's overturned, and that starts a trickle-down effect, because now the Bears are faced with fourth down, and what are they going to do? They're going to have Cairo Santos attempt a field goal. First field goal attempt since that ill-fated Packer field goal attempt. Jerry Tillery takes his paw and blocks it.
Yeah.
Asamoah returns it to, I believe, midfield. And that drive that the Vikings subsequently have results in a touchdown to make it 14-7. The challenge person gets a ton of credit, because that was that. I think that they got the call right upon the review, but I will say this: it was very close. And to challenge it at that point when momentum could have swung again, and certainly the Bears could have been, if nothing else, kicked a pretty easy field goal as opposed to the one that got blocked. Challenge guy.
I was kind of shocked they overturned it, because apparently the crappiest possible cameras were placed throughout that stadium for the officials to use for review. Because there was a couple calls on the Addison, did he step out of bounds or not? And we're not allowed to use the boundary cam, because apparently not every stadium
But
in the
here's my question.
NFL's
Who
$15 billion league
Yeah.
doesn't have one.
But who also cares? Like, if you have a camera that can show
Use it.
something to get it right, use it. And guess what? Yeah, I'm with you. Everyone should have a boundary cam. I'm astounded they don't. I'd be curious to know the cheapskates, the Bengals, who don't have one. But if you have that camera, just use the camera.
Like, why is there, when it comes to sideline stuff, because the Addison thing was a sideline thing, and then the Keenan Allen thing was a sideline thing. I can see if there's a scrum and a pile and there's bodies everywhere and it's hard to get the camera angle right because it's like you got a defensive tackle covering up a tight end. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was a fumble or not. But if the question is, did this player step out of bounds? Why are we using like mid-1960s grainy footage to try and figure out if a white cleat hit the white line?
But like the boundary cam can show you something definitively, and you have to say, okay, when I'm seeing in my, like, with my eyes and I'm processing in my brain, I can't use that. I've got to use this archaic camera that's at a different angle.
Super weird. Yeah.
What a bunch of crap. Anyway, Vikings challenge person, you get a 5% Thanksgiving slice of Sports Dad's pie because you did good. You done good. All right. 10% goes to the aforementioned by Declan, Justin Jefferson. 2 catches for 27 yards, but the Bears not only paid attention to him by trying to double and at times basically scoot a third guy towards him, but he also drew 2 PIs for a combined 45 yards, including a deep shot that led to the, I believe it was the Jalen Naylor touchdown. And Jordan Addison does not have a Thanksgiving feast without Justin Jefferson. So basically, Jordan's the guy who's like, man, I'm hungry. How am I going to eat this? How am I going to eat on this great turkey week? And Justin's like, I'm going to bring it all over for you, buddy. I'm going to cook it up, and you're going to absolutely get the greatest Thanksgiving feast. That's what Justin Jefferson did for Jordan Addison.
I think he would appreciate this. I think he was a little dejected. You know, he kind of hates when he doesn't. He's not a diva about it, but
Right.
I think he was walking off that field a couple times like, man, this is literally the worst statistical game of my career. But I think if someone could relay the message that the sports dad Judd Zulgad, the chef of the pie chart of praise, recognized his greatness despite the box score here, and Declan with his hottest Vikings take, I think he would appreciate that.
He is not the typical wide receiver. I don't want to use the term diva, but guy that really, really wants the targets in the football all the time. He genuinely cares the most about winning. He genuinely, yes, he doesn't want to just have 2 receptions for 27 yards every single game. He genuinely cares about winning the game more than getting the football all the time.
Robbie
Johnny
B
Munt.
says,
Yeah,
Johnny
he
Munt
was
is
after-
the coleslaw.
Robbie B. My man,
Some
you're
respect
exactly
on
right.
coleslaw.
And Munt was my guy at one time. Not anymore. He's not my guy. He's out. He's out. All right, so that's a 10% slice to Justin Jefferson. 15% slice goes to TJ Hockenson. 7 catches, 114 yards, a long of
Back.
34 yards. He definitely heated up as the game progressed. I think that he had in that marvelous OT drive a couple or at least one big catch. But this was the game we've been waiting for. This is the game. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he had 8 catches in the game at Jacksonville, but he has not exceeded until Sunday 100 yards in a game. And this is sort of what we like. This is where it gets to Declan's point again about Jefferson. This is where it gets real dicey, DCs. Real dicey. Because it's now, okay, if you're going to make Jefferson not feast, got to cover Jordan. Okay, got that. Well, now you got to have a linebacker cover the Hawk. And the Hawk is a hybrid, basically. So, like, it's getting very dicey on how you're going to. It's almost like how you're going to choose to defensively die.
Yeah. What was that? Didn't they have a show or like a YouTube channel, 1,000 Ways to Die?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is
That
it.
was
It was on
the
Spike
Bears.
TV. I think it was like after Raw episodes in like 2005.
I love how
I'm
you
dead
go so
serious.
simple.
I think it was.
I know.
It was.
1,000 Ways to Die. It was a horror show, 4 seasons, starting
Yeah.
in 2008.
Oh, okay. So a little past 2005.
Yeah, the program recreates unusual supposed
Yeah.
deaths based on true events or debunked urban legends,
Yeah.
with interviews from experts who describe the science behind the deaths.
Huh.
Yeah, that was the Bears yesterday.
I probably don't need that, but yeah, that's exactly right.
The Rock
Who are you going to
knows
cover,
how you
Hot
feel
Shot?
about
Who are you
pies.
going to cover?
Pop quiz.
TJ Hockenson feasted with 7 catches, 114 yards, 15%. All right, final 3 slices. A big old 20% slice goes to the defensive side of the football, and none other than Jonathan Grenard. 2 more sacks, including a huge one in OT on a play that must have been extended for how many seconds? 12? Like, that play was never going to end. And at the end, Grenard absolutely exhausted. He also, the sack was textbook, because at the end of that, he just went for Caleb's arm. So
Yeah.
he basically said, because he knew that if he got Caleb Williams in the grasp without his arm, that guy's going to throw a pass. So that was great. 4 tackles for a loss. It didn't turn into something, but he forced a fumble. Jonathan Grenard, just another one of the reasons why I continue to preach from the mountaintop. Best Vikings free agent class as a whole of all time.
Have you gone back and kind of watched that sack? Which is, Caleb was incredible in so many ways, but
Yes.
that was an egregiously bad sack to take. The Bears, and Grenard retweeted it and said something like, man, I was locked up on that play. They literally had 2 offensive players. I think it was the tackle and maybe the tight end, or it might have been the guard and the tackle, but he was like in prison for 10 seconds. And his arms he was peeking through the two bodies with his arms kind of squeezing through like this. And he's just like, nowhere to go. No, it must have been, it wasn't, it was tight. Maybe it was two tight ends because they both then decided after like a half hour, let's bail and get open for Caleb.
Right.
So they both bail off of Grenard thinking, oh, Caleb will just throw it to one of us. We'll leak out. And Caleb didn't. But yeah, Grenard retweeted that like, whoo.
Yeah.
But yeah, good for him for sticking with it.
So 20% to Jonathan Grenard, 20%.
Knows how you feel about pie.
20% also goes to Sam Darnold. Great day. This guy had 5 picks in 2 games, and I think we all rightfully said, "Oh boy, this isn't good." And we talked about this a little bit off the Titans game too, when Sam didn't throw a pick, and of course he didn't again on Sunday. But the coaching staff and O'Connell getting him back on track. Like that was, I really think that Jacksonville game, and we can say it really wasn't that bad if you look at this and that, but I think confidence-wise, that was a huge potential blow. Like you've had this great year, and now you throw a couple picks in the win against the Colts, and yes, you beat Jacksonville 12-7, but you didn't have a good game. And like if ever self-doubt is going to creep into a human's head, that was then. Yesterday, 22 of 34, 330 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just a really, really solid, good day. And I just think it's really impressive because if there are tests throughout the course of a season, this was one of them. Jacksonville was. And Darnold, the last 2 games, I believe it's 4 TDs, no picks, has thrived, which I don't know if that's what I fully expected at the time.
This was only the second time, make it the third time in his career that he's thrown for 300 yards, at least 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. The only other 2 times were with the Jets back in December of 2018 in a loss to Green Bay, and then he did it in November of 2019 in a blowout win over the Oakland Raiders at the time. So 300, 2+ touchdowns, no picks. A very rare thing in the 7-year career of Sam Darnold. To do it against a Bears defense that was, like an 80.2 passer rating against this season was, it was a great job.
Back on track to get paid, right?
Yeah.
Because before I was like, okay, maybe not, but I think if he just continues at like something like this pace, I think he gets 3 years and a lot of cash.
Yep. It's got to be, it's not our problem in Minnesota here after 2024, but it does have to be the right system and situation. And
I agree. Well, that's
you can't sign him to save your crappy franchise,
Yeah. Well, I mean, if Danny Dimes says, you know what, I'm going to go play for Vegas, he's an idiot. So you're exactly right.
Danny Dimes should absolutely just go play. I think the Ravens and the Vikings were on the list. He should be focused because he wants to play for a playoff team. He should literally, San Fran, he should pick a team that's going to revive his career. That's what he should do.
Yes.
But San Francisco might have to throw him in right away. That's the problem with him.
That's true.
That's the best thing for him. But
all right.
He's got his money, though. He'll be fine.
The Rock knows
and that leaves one more slice at 25% to absolutely no one's surprise. Jordan Addison, you get the biggest slice of Thanksgiving post-victory at Soldier Field. A pie, 8 catches, 162 yards, a touchdown, the aforementioned, 45-yard catch where you were clearly being grabbed and you still made a catch. This revives my longtime thought of this guy would be the number 1 receiver, I think, on a lot of teams. And yeah, Jefferson didn't thrive, but Jefferson's presence helped Jordan thrive. And this is the type of game that Addison, in the right circumstances, because they're not all going to be like this, play flow, game flow, things like that. Coverage on Jefferson will change now, almost certainly, probably a little bit. So anyway, I wouldn't expect this on a weekly basis, but if I'm not mistaken, you guys, this was only his 3rd game with 100+ yards receiving in his career. I believe that this was also a career high in catches. So and these were not fluky catches. Like, this was not a game where it's like, oh, that's nice, he had a great game. I wonder if that can take place again. No, he had a fantastic day. So, Jordan Addison, you get a 25%, the biggest chunk of pie, in part because your quarterback had a really damn good day.
Declan went through all the offensive numbers just early in the show. these little gripes about KOC as a bad play caller, or he's a terrible play caller. He needs to turn over the play calling or this or that. So on a day in which your number one offensive weapon is completely taken out strategically by the defense, you want to know how KOC is actually a great play caller? That his scheme and plays allow for plan B, C, and D all day long to lead to 452 yards, 7 yards of play, 30 points. Should have been more because you fumbled at the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
A bad play caller would have no plan B, C, or D built into your scheme and structure. And, they took away our guy. Now we're screwed, and we're going to score 16 points. The fact that you have that many layers of options of routes, the route trees, talented players obviously help. And the fact that you can rack up those type of numbers on a day in which Jefferson did nothing in the box score, that tells you there's things to nitpick, but, I mean, come on.
How could a town in which Bill Musgrave called plays for the same team, how can the town bitch about the current play calling?
It's wild.
It really is weird. It's really, really weird. Like, and it'd be nice if the turnovers and fumbles, I guess, could get cleaned up completely and it's been worked on. And like, okay, that's a legit gripe. Like, that needs to be stopped. But that's not the play calling. So it's that's weird.
Those players making mistakes.
Yeah. And look, I mean, that's a different topic and that's fine. But I feel like I felt like the last two games, it's like, well, they're not doing this right and they're not doing that right. And if you go through what this team did against a Bears defense, and by the way, a Bears team, like this team is the Bears are a poorly coached team. They're not a bad team. They're not a bad team. They're undisciplined. Yeah. They're really poorly coached from the top, but there's talent there. And the meltdown didn't help things. But again, the meltdown was your special teams caving in.
Yeah.
That wasn't the offense caving in.
I feel like I'm that meme that tell me more sort of meme. Is it the guy sitting at the table outside with his like coffee cup? I don't know. But like, you wake up today and the Vikings have a top 10 yards per play offense and a top 10 scoring offense.
Yeah.
With Sam Darnold starting all 11 games.
Yeah.
Tell me more about how KOC is a bad play caller, please.
And a Darnold who you won games through when he was not playing well, and now you've got him back.
Yeah, he's resurrected again.
It's pretty impressive.
Mid-season resurrection.
He just comes back from the dead every time.
He's very stoic. I'll give him that.
Oh, he is.
So Judd's pie chart here, if I wrote down the math correctly, we got 5% KOC, 5% to the random challenge person who told KOC to challenge that play.
Great job.
10% Justin Jefferson's presence and gravity. 15% TJ Hockenson, welcome back. 20% Jonathan Grenard. 20% Sam Darnold. And 25% to Jordan Addison. Nice job.
Bravo. 100% right there.
And 100% credit to Spidex for getting rid of some pests in Judd's house a few weeks back.
All right, so a few years here, I've dealt with mice in the house in the winter. There is nothing worse, right? And for a few years, I'm like, I'm going to go put traps down, and that's going to take care of this problem. And guess what I didn't do? The mice were still running around my house. It drove me crazy. That is until my life changed, thanks to my friends at Spidex Pest Control, who made 2 trips to my house. On the second one, they sealed a bunch of stuff up. They basically went through and figured out where the entry points were. And guess what? Now, no more mice, no more spiders. It's absolutely fantastic. Spidex did great work for me, and they will do the same for you. And offer right now for Score North listeners as well, $125 off your first service by calling 952-333-8813 or check them out, spidex.com. That's SPIDEXX.com. They also service some areas outside the state like Iowa. So if you have a problem with mice, you want Spidex. They will be they will get 100% of your pie chart of praise. Spidex.
Also, Federated Insurance deserves a lot of praise for helping businesses like a great offensive line protecting your business so you can stay focused on growing the business. That's where Federated comes in, focusing on safety, preventing claims, risk management. Let the team at Federated support your business. You can find a full list of industries that they specialize in at federatedinsurance.com, and you can find out about their history that goes back to 1904, based in Owatonna, Minnesota. At Federated Mutual Insurance Company, It's our business to protect yours. All right, let's go around the room here. Dex, why don't you start us off with just a round of nitpicks? When the Vikings lose, we give you silver linings. When they win, we give you nitpicks from the game.
So I'm totally guilty of, sometimes being ticky-tacky and calling out KOC for, play calls in short yardage situations in the deep red, but I'll actually flip it and I'll say deep red execution. So on the players, not even on KOC here, deep red execution. There was obviously near the goal line, Aaron Jones fumbles. My God, just hold on to the football. There was another instance where I believe the Vikings went at a negative rush of 5 yards and they get sacked. So all of a sudden you have negative 14 yards on back-to-back plays because you can't even get past the line of scrimmage. So deep red execution. Yes, you're going against the number one red zone defense and the Bears, who are really good at what they do down there. But just deep red, baby. We always love to talk about deep red execution. If the Vikings convert the Aaron Jones touchdown and they are able to get him, a little bit better results, we're not talking about a random onside kick needing to take place even with 11 seconds left.
Yeah, I think this will be a good week for trenches to look at some of these things, because there's a couple plays like the fumble for Jones. All right, is that a bad play call, or is it Cam Robinson got blown off the ball and it completely wrecked everything, and now there's a defender in Jones's face? Is it Jones? Like, just regardless of the play getting blown up, don't fumble. So there's like a pie chart of maybe some play calling once in a while, but like only in the micro. But mostly, I think the offensive line is just kind of bad in those situations.
Oh.
They don't get the push forward that some other teams do.
Yeah, and as you talked about on Vent Line, Phil, too, like the loss of Darrisaw is just so huge. Like that is an enormous loss.
It is.
And they replaced him, but you can't replace him. And now you're down to your third guy. Now, that was not the case on the play that Jones fumbled. But anyway, yeah, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one to lose.
Joe, give us a nitpick.
I got a bunch of things here because there were a bunch of things, but I'm just going to keep it simple. And he caught a touchdown pass, so that's great. I think he's now got like 6 touchdown catches. But Jalen Naylor on the third down pass in the third quarter, you got to catch the ball, dude. You got to catch the ball. I mean, the pass might not have been perfect, but who cares? The pass could have been caught. And he just got too many of those, can I say simple drops? It's a mildly tough play, but this is the National Football League.
It's the National
Football League. Like the Rams pass. The Rams pass drop was killer. And this was not, but it could have been. Like there were a bunch of, when the Vikings special teams melted down, I immediately then started to think back to a bunch of what seemingly might have been small plays or plays that weren't made or were screwed up. And it's like, this is how you get in a position where Johnny Munt is now going to impact a game with his foot.
Yeah.
So Jalen Naylor keeps the ball.
So according to our friends at PFF, among, how many qualified here? A lot of qualified receivers. 120 qualified receivers. Jalen Naylor has the 3rd worst drop rate of any receiver in the NFL. He has dropped 19% of targeted passes to him.
Ooh. Okay.
So about 1 in every 5 times you target him, it's a drop. That's not good.
No, not at all.
And he doesn't give you the, like Amari Cooper has a high drop rate, which has been a thing in his career. But, like Amari Cooper, maybe not as much now, but he'll give you some like big playability on the other side. Now, Naylor does have a handful of touchdowns too, so credit to him for that. But yeah, you gotta clean that up.
Yep.
I think I'll say my nitpick is more just looking ahead, because Judd kind of alluded to this, but Caleb Williams can play. And when they extracted the bad offensive coordinator a couple weeks ago, he played his ass off against the Packers last week in a loss. And some of the plays he was making, scooting around, using his legs, off-balance throws down the field. And then KOC, like he did with Anthony Richardson a few weeks back, gave him the pep talk on the field as the players were kind of congregating. He was in Caleb's ear, kind of, I'm guessing, telling him, hey, man, you're a stud. You're going to be awesome.
Your head coach sucks. Don't worry about it.
That's what it feels like. It feels like he was telling Anthony Richardson, "Hey, this organization's a train wreck, but just
I wonder if
stick with it,
coaches are
man."
going to start to tell him not to, because the first time it seemed nice, and now it seems very calculated.
But he clearly takes offense to
Yes.
organizations that butcher quarterback
There's a
situations.
whole story there. He 100%, and he sees himself as that guy.
Yeah,
You're so right.
and so he's in the ear of Caleb Williams, and it's coming from a place of, "Hey, screw this dumbass franchise for trying to ruin your career. Stick with it.
So true.
Keep pushing forward. You'll get another head
that.
coach in here. Hopefully it's Ben Johnson for your sake."
I love that.
But I think a nitpick is just the Bears are, if they get the right coach in, and the Vikings are on a trajectory too. So I'm not saying that it's like the Bears division forever. The Lions aren't going
They're
anywhere.
going to be good, though.
But they are going to be feisty, and it's
Yes.
not going to be an automatic win on your schedule.
Correct. They're going to be where people predicted that they would be this year. They are not there because of their head coach.
Yep.
So you're
And their schedule is, so what are they? They're 4-7, I think.
right.
Because they were 4-2, and then
And
they
they're
lost 5
backing into
straight.
what the Vikings played now, right?
Yeah, a lot of. Well, San Francisco it's
Yeah.
not the same team. Some of the
that
injuries
right.
might be helpful, but
Yeah, I think. they're
anyways, there you go, boys. And maybe you're just joining us here on this Monday morning for the first time, or you haven't already. If you could, please click the subscribe button and the like button on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. You guys recently helped us get over 50,000 subscribers, so thank you for that. This is going to be a jam-packed week. Tomorrow we'll have State of the Offense. We've got Before I Die, I think, is being posted here sometime kind of middle of the day or maybe later today, but that's going to be out. So keep an eye on your Purple Daily podcast feed. Daily Vikings entertainment, even during the holiday week. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. See you guys.